Good morning. So I am back. I have not streamed since Sunday, and I was streaming every day or two, but unfortunately, we contracted yet another plague. Doctor confirms not a virus. It is a bacterial bug or whatnot. So Daniel got sicker than me. My boyfriend, he's actually on antibiotics, but we're both feeling a lot better today. So now, hopefully, I get to do some art. I've actually been doing art. I just haven't been streaming it because of all the sniffles and breaks to take naps. Um, but today I'm going to be streaming one or more, depending on on how my energy and health holds up, of adding watercolor to these little ink drawings that I had already done. I did these the last couple of days, yesterday and a little bit this morning when I was sick. These are some more hybrid creatures. They'll appear in future books, and they're also going to be in coloring books, and they are going out to Patreon subscribers early in May. So I do about 8 of these a month in this size. And because I usually do either 7x9 or 8x10s for these, so that they're getting a 7x9 drawing with a little bit of a border. Sometimes cut the paper down myself, but for these I'm using Strathmore Ready Cut watercolor paper. I'm using hot press, which is fine for this. I believe this is, yeah, it's hot press, because I don't do really detailed backgrounds on these. If you need really blended backgrounds, you really need cold press. But Strathmore and Canton are my kind of two go-to watercolor papers. But I like these because they're kind of pre-cut as 8x10s. So they work really well. So I'm going to put on probably some music and we'll get started on these. I'll show you guys kind of what they are to begin with. This one is a crocodile-hamster hybrid. So a croc-hamster, I guess. This one is based on a hybrid that is an actual mythology that appears in one of my other books, the Peryton, which is a deer bird hybrid, kind of like a Pegasus, but it's a deer instead of a horse. And I really wanted to play around with doing kind of a cuter one. I did one for earth dragons and other earth creatures. There was kind of a big noble stag, but I wanted to kind of play around with doing kind of one based on more of a baby deer of a fawn. A little baby. And then I think this is going to be a tropical one because I thought it would be really cool to do crazy kind of parrot colors. And then the third piece I have here, if I don't bump my camera, is based on a gorgon or a medusa mixed with a mermaid. So she's kind of an underwater mermaid-like creature with snake hair, but her snake hair is eels. And I really want to do this kind of based more on white eels. Like I really want her to be pale, almost white in skin tone, and then have some darker colors, so kind of a creepy pale mermaid. So maybe do a darker background to go with that. So I think we'll start with the crocodile hamster. And I know we don't have a lot of people tuning in now, but hopefully folks will notice I'm streaming and kind of join in at some point here. Otherwise, watch it on playback. So I'm going to get some tunes going for us. And because it's based on a crocodile and a hamster, those are kind of the colors I'm going to use. And I drew this I use Sharpie pens if you haven't seen my other videos, which are waterproof. And I've already made a copy for coloring books, so I'm all set to add color. And obviously, if it's based on a crocodile, I'm going to start kind of with some greens. Some light greens, but he's also going to have kind of green and brown and maybe even some whiter fur, because crocodile bellies can be kind of white and or at least paler, and hamsters can have white fur. So yeah, today's the first day I'm like, all right, I'll look semi okay on camera. I've got kind of my hair up because it's warmer and I don't look like death anymore. I did not look good the last few days. We mostly just got headaches and really, really congested. I'm still stuffy. I'm still taking decongestants, but definitely feeling a lot better. And we got really tired. That was the hardest part. I'd like sit down and do like 80% of this drawing, and then I'd have to go take a nap for half an hour. But happy to be back at it today. Definitely feeling a lot more like myself. So yeah, normally with a hamster, the paws would be kind of pink. Maybe the ears would be pink, and I think we're not gonna do any pinks. I mean, I might do just some touches of a red or a pink, but I think we're gonna just bring all kind of the skin tone areas into greens for this guy because I think that's gonna work better. And yes, he's a dreaded, fearsome croc hamster, um, which of course means he's absolutely adorable because the minute you put a cute hamster pose and cute little hamster ears on the face of a baby crocodile, it looks pretty freaking cute. Actually, I might bring some pinks in because I've got like the wings here. Oh yeah, and he's a winged one. I know neither of those species has wings, but when I was drawing him out, he looked kind of empty without something back here, and I decided he should be able to fly because why not? When you're doing hybrids, you can really have a lot of fun with mixing animals together, but this is kind of a very traditional hamster pose, like with his little paws up and everything. It's kind of going for that. So I'm just doing it with kind of a paler green. This is not yellow green. This is one of the Shinhan greens, I think, but it's a nice kind of, it might be their version of yellow green. One of my yellow greens is lighter than the other, which I think is funny, depending on which um, paint brand I'm using. But just trying to get a good base started. And the nice thing about doing ones where you've spent all the time with the concept and the inking and everything is that then the amount of work you have to do in watercolor is a lot less because it's already pretty defined with the ink. Hi, Dragon Soul. Yeah, I'm feeling a lot better. Like no, the wet's at like 75%. But yeah, yesterday I thought about streaming and I was like, no, I'm gonna get halfway through a stream and just be too tired. We just kept taking naps. We eventually took we call them the dreaded green pills, which are basically nighttime cold meds, and we take half doses. And I'm really sensitive to medicine, so they just put me to sleep for about 8 hours, and that made a huge difference. I slept off a lot of this, but yeah, it was just making me really, really tired, which was kind of annoying. Okay, so I think I'm gonna start bringing some browns in here. The world's cutest crocodile hamster. But like baby crocodiles are actually really cute if you look at them anyway. I was kind of thinking that'd be fun to play with. It's a little weird to mix like fur and scales, but I do for a lot of dragons, and there's lots of other hybrid creatures that have weird mixes like this, so it kind of works. I don't know if I'm going to be up to doing multiple paintings on camera today. We'll see, but I can definitely get at least this one. And I didn't bother with my light because I've got some pretty good natural light. I could probably get it even a little brighter. Move my curtain here from the window. Let's see if that's too bright. I can try to get that adjusted a little more. It's so hard to tell. That's not bad. It's always hard to get it adjusted just right, but yeah, so some lucky Patreon subscriber will get this little dude in the mail. I feel like I used to do very, very kind of, I don't know if you'd say normal art, but more traditional creatures than I do now. I definitely venture into the quirkier realm. Starting to warm up here a lot too. Finally getting into the hundreds this coming week. Ugh. At least it stays pretty cool at night still. We've only had to use our AC a tiny bit. Oh yeah, they're joking at my boyfriend's work. Like, is he ever going to be back at work? Because he comes back for like a week and then we get sick again with something else because he's had a sinus infection that he just got over a week before we got this. So I feel like we spend a week being well and then a week being sick. And I've never gotten sick as much in my life as I have this year, which is super weird because we're avoiding people. I mean, it's not like I'm going anywhere. I go out grocery shopping occasionally with a mask and gloves on, so who knows? um, I normally have allergies this time of year, but I don't normally get sick like 4 or 5 times. But the doctor did say this one is not a virus, so it's a bacterial bug. So it is not the scary Rona thing, which is a good chance we already had. They did think one of the things we had could have been that, so we already did like the 2 weeks for that last month. Super fun. It's frustrating to me too because I don't really get paid time off, and I actually enjoy a lot of things like working on creatures like this. So when I'm too sick to do it, it kind of makes me feel very useless. He's so cute. So I have very, very light kind of base colors in here that I'm going to build on. And I think his eye is going to start out with some yellow, and then I'm going to kind of build on that. But I want to get a nice kind of bright yellow color started there. Yeah, after some thought, I think I'm going to use... I don't want to go into too pink a color, but use a little bit of a pink color on some of the areas here. I'm going to kind of blend it with a green. Go on the redder side of pinks. I just muted us for a minute because my boyfriend came in to ask me a question and get something, but there we go. Okay. And I've started kind of listening to music at least a little bit in the background while I stream. I just had to find a copyright free thing we're allowed to listen to. Because otherwise they can mute sections of your stream and fun things like that. And I was really like upset about getting sick too because I feel like I had an absolutely awesome book release stream last Sunday, and I was all excited to do a bunch more painting after that, and a bunch more streaming. And I've been painting. I've actually been working on a big, very detailed Goblin Tea Party painting, but it's like I work on the background for an hour and then I have to rest for half an hour. It's so bad, but I'm mostly well now, which is good. Since I've started doing the camera, I don't think you guys want to see how sick I looked the last couple days. I don't really want to have a record of that on camera. Um, and I've kind of been taking turns since my boyfriend's stuck at home. They told him, I think, till Monday, just to make sure that this thing is cleared up and then he doesn't get a sinus infection again from it. So he's been streaming video games as well, so we kind of alternating. He is streaming this morning pretty early, and then I'm streaming. Then I think he's streaming a different game this afternoon. I think he said he got the new XCOM, so I think he's gonna try that. But he is streaming Stardew Valley this morning, which he's kind of making me want to buy it because it's super cute. And I've been joking that I will at some point here get around to streaming some Path of Exile for you guys because I think that would be pretty cool. Um, I was thinking of just starting a new character in the league. The way Path of Exile works is they do kind of leagues with special things. You have to start new characters in them. And I have one in there that's done pretty well, so I've already got a bunch of gear. And I've kind of got the perfect gear for starting maybe like a bow character. So I'm thinking of doing a bow character with lightning, because I've done an ice one before, but I haven't gotten really good with lightning, and they have some new lightning and shock skills since I last tried to do anything like that. So might at some point mess around with some of that. I'm trying to get his eye is not. I don't think I got enough pigment versus water in my brush when I was working on getting his eye really yellow. There we go. That's better. This might be one of the cutest creatures I've painted for a while. I think they're pretty small too. I think they're kind of more hamster sized than crocodile sized. So I'm just working on, I think I'm going to use a little more of a warmer brown there. And I'm going to put some white, I think, fur onto him too, but I think I'll kind of do that on top of my darker colors because it'll look neater. So I'll just working on building some of the fur up. Because the little ones like this, they go pretty fast. So I might have time to work on some of the others I showed at the beginning of this video. I have a couple of different weird creatures. And one of the reasons I'm doing a couple little hybrids is I needed more new hybrids. We're doing some mini coloring books with the project I'm about to order printing on in the next few days. And I have plenty of dragons. Like I wanted to have 3 or 4 pieces that aren't in my coloring books in the pocket ones just to make them a little special. So I actually have a bunch of clockwork stuff that's never been in coloring books and tons of dragons, so that wasn't an issue. But I needed a few more cats, which I have those about done. And I needed some more hybrids. And it's been a while since I've done some fun hybrids. So I love the idea of mixing 2 creatures together that just maybe don't naturally go as easily, and then having kind of fun with where that takes you. And I'm going to put a lot more greens onto him. In fact, I think he needs more green kind of back here. I want his spine to have kind of these crocodile-y ridges poking up through it. I think that would be cool, kind of poking up from the fur. So I'm sorry I was kind of gone for, well, like 4 or 5 days. I mean, I was around. I had about 24, 30, 36 hours where I really wasn't able to kind of keep up with my emails as quickly as I usually do. Other than that, like yesterday, I answered all my emails and I drew a bunch of these guys out. I just was not up to streaming yet. So doing a lot better today. Still have a little bit of an earache, but I'm taking decongestant. Hopefully it will go away. This guy should be a pretty fast little painting. I'll probably put some sort of shadow or background behind him, but it'll just be pretty simple. And I'm trying to decide. I think it's going to be blue since he is a water critter. An air and water critter, I guess, since he can. I don't think he can fly very far because they're not huge wings, which is good for short little flights. When I'm painting fur, I tend to, I don't go back and forth with the brush, even though it might look like that if you're watching it fast. I'm actually just going on to it slower. One direction, and that's kind of the direction the fur is going in. So that's a little easier. And to make that like fur texture. I only got a bunch of people watching now. Hi guys. Hopefully you are all doing well and surviving, and you did not get any of the countless colds going around. I guess everybody's been sick though. I talked to, last time I was at Trader Joe's, the Checo gal there told me she's had 2 sinus infections this year. My boyfriend's had 1. We've had endless colds. I'm feeling okay. I'm alive. I still have a little bit of an earache and a headache, but it's not. I mean, like yesterday was pretty bad. I think I worked about 2/3 of the day and slept the rest of the day, and then we went to bed at like 8 o'clock. Kind of fell asleep by 9 and got up like 6:30 or 7 this morning. So we really like slept. But I'm doing much better, and I'm creating an adorable crocodile hamster. So I'm gonna go. I wonder if I want to use like a really small brush for this. I'm gonna work on the details of his face some more. I'm just gonna start kind of darkening my greens here. Sometimes I don't like the music, so I'm like, thumbs down, give me something that's less. I don't mind the more video gamey sounding music when I'm playing video games or other things, but not so much when I'm painting. Oh, you've got a new painting project that just came in. That sounds intriguing. There we go. And I love the idea of things that are cute but also incredibly deadly or scary. So this guy might be. He's got a pretty nasty bite. I mean, he's got a lot of teeth. So I wouldn't poke him. I feel like I always have so many projects in the works. The thing is, like, I didn't really get behind on work, even though we've gotten sick like 3 or 4 times this year so far. I allow some time. It just means I don't get like actual time off to do other things because I spent my time off being sick, which kind of sucked. And then I don't think you showed the painting you were working on, Michaela. So hopefully share that at some point. You can share it on my Discord if you like. But yeah, I didn't get time off as much, and I usually try to get ahead on projects. So I was hoping to be a little farther ahead. I mean, it's not dastardly, but a little farther ahead on my all ages picture book project. I want to have a couple more of those done, and I haven't had any time to work on them. And I got a couple of clockwork pieces to do for the Kickstarter as well. That I think we might stream the full creation of those. I think we're doing at least one sea monster, so I think I might stream that. I think it'd be a fun one to show. Yeah, this guy's gonna go pretty quick. But I do want to get a little more depth in his fur, so I may bring a little bit of like some other colors in there too. We'll see. I think I'm gonna bring. I like to give my my creatures sometimes just a little bit of blush on the end of their noses if they're cute creatures. I think that that makes them look more adorable. Yeah, I just want to bring out some of the details here. I'm gonna add a little bit of kind of blue as a shadow color in places. But this guy's going pretty quick now. Like I said, if you do a lot of the little tiny details in ink, it means you don't have to do quite as much work in watercolor because you've done a lot of the work in the ink. So, like if I were to outline each of these in watercolor, you wouldn't really notice because they're already outlined in ink. So, it's a little less work. I try to have some color variation. I think it can get kind of boring if I were just make this like a flat green color. So, definitely some shadow here. So I'm not worried about leaving the teeth because I'm going to probably paint the teeth in white with white ink after this. I'm more concerned about getting a shadow there. That'll help our guy stand out properly. I think he needs a little more green up here, but not that much. He's getting close. He's so cute. Okay. And just to make his eye stand out, I'm actually going to use some reds. I want him to look a little scary. Very carefully use some reds. And I'll be kind of pumping up the highlights in the eye with some white as well. And then I'm going to use just a clean brush. And a tiny bit of water so I can blend this kind of down just a little. I'm not too worried about the second highlight. I'll come back in and work on that. Now I think he looks pretty good. All right, I think he needs some more depth on his fur though. Right now his fur looks very flat. So I'm going to use some blue. Make sure my shadows are nice and deep. I think his back wing here could use a little more green and some blue. Just because I want him to be a little more vibrant. Hi Val. Yeah, I know he's really cute. Here, I'll show you the other ones I have drawn out too. This is the eel gorgon. So she's like a mermaid, but instead of a fish, she's eels, and instead of a Medusa, it's Yeah, she's got eel hair. And then this is the one I drew this morning while Daniel was streaming, which is a baby tropical Peryton, which are like bird deer. So I'm going to paint this in tropical colors. Because I felt like drawing weird things when I was sick, apparently. Sometimes I think cold meds make me a little more creative. But that might just be me being kind of wacky. So yeah, I think our hamster needs some more of a reddish brown in his fur a little bit. Because right now it's a little too boring. And hamsters do tend to be a little more on like the red or oranger side. So I started with browns. I'm going to definitely bring in some more reddish browns. And I don't actually remember which color this is. I know it's from one of my weird Korean paint sets. Because I have a bunch of different ones. I just load my palette up. Oh, thank you. I was having fun yesterday. I was watching, between naps and dying, I was watching home reno shows. Because if I fall asleep during a home reno show, it's no big deal. And, and I was designing weird creatures. So yeah, I'm just relieved that we're on the road to recovery and feeling much more like ourselves today compared to like the last couple days. I was kind of hoping it would just be one of those 48-hour things and go away, and it's taken a lot longer. I think it's going to be like a full Sunday will be a full week because like I did my book release stream and I had a really good stream. I thought it was actually one of the better ones I've done. I felt the most comfortable I've ever felt on a stream. And then about a half hour afterwards, I got like a really weird headache, and I was like, oh, it's probably too much coffee and low blood sugar. And then that headache just did not go away for like 3 days. It was awful. So fortunately, that happened after my stream. I'm glad that I wasn't sick during my stream, but I don't know where the heck we got it. Like we didn't go anywhere, we didn't do anything. Like Daniel hadn't even had work in a couple of days, so we were totally baffled as to what that was. But I guess sickness will seek you out when it wants to seek you out, and tough. But yeah, I don't think. I mean, there was one year after Danielle and I got together that we got sick. I want to say 3 times over like 4 or 5 months, and that seemed like a lot because we never have that happen. And then this year, it's like we got a cold, got over it, got a cold, got over it. Had like 2 weeks of being well, got another cold. No, that was the one they thought actually might have been the coronavirus. Did the 2 weeks of quarantine, got over it. He went back to work. And then a week later, he was sick again with a sinus infection, which I didn't get, but I had allergies. And I actually thought this was allergies to start with. Till we get extreme exhaustion. But yeah, the exhaustion's about gone today. So I am very, very happy about that. So yeah, I'm just kind of adding some mix of colors here, even though like say a crocodile's face would be only green because this is also a hamster. I kind of want to mix the colors a bit so it looks fairly natural. And once this is all dry and I add the highlights, it'll look really cool. I hope. I hope. Otherwise, I will be building up the suspense for nothing. But yeah, I was like, I guess I could have streamed without me on camera, and I thought about doing that yesterday, and so you guys wouldn't see how sick I was. And then I was like, no, I can't even sit at the desk for that long. So I was kind of going between drawing and just lying on the futon, feeling like a useless lump, which is super fun. And I think it's more annoying when you know that like Daniel would get paid time off from work. He has a lot of sick time he can take, and they also did a couple of weeks just paid for when they thought. Yeah, I think stress has to do with it, and then when you've already had something. Though I actually think I have a jinx because every time I start taking walks, and I'm like I've done like a week of walks, and I'm starting to like get in shape, then we get sick, and I'm like, come on, how am I supposed to get exercise if and I'll usually walk even if I don't feel like 100%, even if I have like allergies or whatever. But this thing, that headaches and earaches were just, it was all like head stuff. It wasn't anything else. It was just very uncomfortable head stuff. So I don't know. I hope I'm just getting it out of the way and I won't get sick at all for the rest of the year because there cannot be that many more colds going around. And I don't know. We've been wearing masks like we haven't been anywhere. I'm like, really, of all the times to get more sick than we usually get. It's just funny. and they, in the middle of all this, resurfaced our entire neighborhood, which our HOA is actually awesome. They use the money that we pay every month, which isn't a lot, to things like they've been uh, resealing and fixing a lot of our stuff on our community pool here, and they use it to. This is the second time since I moved in 7 or 8 years ago that they've resurfaced the streets in our neighborhood just to make sure that like they get them before there's potholes and cracks, which is really nice. And they repainted all of our curbs, which is great because they were kind of like a barely noticeable pink versus a red, like a don't park here, but nobody could really tell that. So the fire lane is now all repainted, which is nice. Yeah, I've never painted one of these guys before, so it's kind of an experiment, but I think he's looking pretty good. So I was trying to comb my hair, and I was like, nope, hair's just gonna go up today. It's kind of angry at me because we've been taking more showers than usual, which is not great for my hair. But we've been trying to like get rid of congestion that way, so it's definitely been an experience. I'd really like to go for like a full month without getting and because I don't have a frail immune system. I eat pretty healthy and I usually exercise, so I don't know what got us this year, but it's like we can't completely bounce back from it. And I'm sure stress is a factor of just wearing us out. And then Daniel was pretty stressed about work because they hadn't done a lot to reduce the flow of people coming in. So he got moved to the back on forklifts where he doesn't have to see anybody. So I'm like, I don't even know how he picked something up or I picked something up. I mean, I hadn't even been to the store near when we got sick or anything. So, and I kept thinking it was just bad allergies till like Monday, I think Tuesday night. Then I was like, no, this is not allergies. It's not going away. I thought it was allergies, and I thought it was a reaction to them sealing stuff because when they reseal stuff, I don't think it's asphalt necessarily, but it definitely has some interesting fumes. It doesn't really matter if I go a little outside my lines because I'm going to add some kind of background to this. Yeah, I think that more orangey brown is a bit better for a hamster color. And I heard as of a couple of weeks ago they were going to start doing sort of soft, gentle reopenings of some of the less crowded sorts of services in early May here and then kind of go from there. But I think they're all waiting to see if the other states are going to have made a mistake by reopening stuff first. Everybody's kind of waiting, but at least the end is in sight sometime in May for sure. It sounds like so that's good because I don't think the economy can go too much more. I know it's been really hard on me, so it's like sitting there knowing I'm having trouble money wise with the business because many folks who would buy my art they don't have extra money right now, and then getting too sick to work on stuff that definitely is an issue. This has been a weird week. I have to do a replacement book for one person on my last project, and this is only the second time this has ever happened. Occasionally a book will get dented or dinged, which is, no matter how well you package it, that can happen in the post office. But only twice have we had a hardcover receive severe damage. 5 or 6 years ago, when I did Metal Dragons, one of those hardcovers got bent in half, and I still don't really know how. It's kind of a weird thing. And then with this one, your painting commission. Ooh, are you doing a painting for someone? But yeah, so this person, and they've gotten a lot of my books. They're very apologetic. They had a book, one of the hardcovers. They got so badly damaged, it didn't just dent the cover. It ripped all the way through the hardcover and some of the pages of the book. Do you know how difficult that is to do? I don't know if the post office ran it over or what. He said he was going to complain to his local post office too, because there's no way a package should get that kind of handling. And I do pack them pretty carefully. They have bubble wrap. They have other things that really try to keep them from getting damaged. And there's only so much you can do without spending excessive amounts of money on padding. Yeah, I think I get caught in a machine or something, but I don't know. I always get a couple of extra um, books just in case, but it sucks because hardcovers are expensive, and it's not usually worth it to try to get money back from the postal service because the process is so long that the money that you would get back, I could make more like doing paintings in that time. So it's just sort of one of those things. The first time something like that happened, I did try to get, or something went missing. I tried to get money back, and then I realized it's just better to budget that this is going to happen once in a great while. It's super weird. I have no idea. I mean, it's a 300-page hardcover. I would assume that, like, okay, a dust jacket could get ripped, but to rip through the actual hardcover part and into some of the pages, that's pretty extreme. Like I said, though, our weirdest one is the one that got bent in half down the middle because you can't physically do that. You would have to really wedge it into something. I don't know, but it's. I mean, I send out probably 700 or 800 books a year, so the fact that we've only ever had two over 5 years get more than the occasional ding is pretty good. Okay, he's looking better. Yeah, it's pretty nuts. I don't know. I people say you could package stuff better, and I'm like, yeah. And if I spend a lot more money on mailers can cost up to $1 more per book. So then I got to charge everyone $1 more in shipping versus just budgeting one or two replacement books just to be safe. It doesn't make any sense because if I'm shipping to like 100 people, that's me spending $100 more to ship versus budgeting $25 or $30 for the occasional thing that gets damaged. And sometimes, I mean, this kind of damage, I don't think even a cardboard box would have protected it. So I've tried things. It's always an interesting thing to try to figure out what they did to it. I think this guy looks pretty good. I do want to do something for a background that I'm trying to decide if I want a pattern or just to put a little bit of a color around him. And because this would be water, I'm going to go with more of green blue. So this is Prussian blue. And if you're creating kind of a background around a creature, it's cool to go kind of darker on the edges. And then while it's still wet, so you only got to do a small section at a time, just get water on the brush, not too much. And what you can do is blend it out so that especially on hot press, because I won't be able to get a really smooth background. But this, for some reason, this hot press, honestly, I think it behaves like cold press. I don't get it, but it's nice because it's pre-cut to this size. And now he has a background. Now I just got to do it everywhere else. But yeah, I don't know. I've given up trying to figure out. The weirdest thing I think we ever had happen with the Postal Service is I was shipping a book to Canada, and it actually went to somewhere like Turkey and then came all the way back to the US and then went to Canada. Like, they really messed something up with where it was supposed to go, what batch of books, because I think the person it was going to and I were both watching the tracking like, what the heck? So they did eventually get it. We just can't figure out why it went like to an entirely different part of the world that was much farther away and came back. Like I said, I mail a lot. I mean, that's just for Kickstarters, a couple hundred packages per Kickstarter usually, anywhere from like 50 up to 200 or 300. If I'm, especially like sometimes with paintings, I have to mail them separately from books, so it might be one backer, but they're getting multiple packages. And then I also do store orders every month, so I do a lot of shipping, which I've given up using anything but PayPal and stamps for after many years. I cannot recommend. I used to use a couple different services, and a lot of you guys heard that story. They accidentally corrupted my account, and I couldn't log into it, and they couldn't figure out how to fix it. So they were going to have me create a new account if they couldn't fix it. But then instead of getting back to me, and this is after 2 hours on the phone with them, they just deleted my account, and I got to notice that my account was closed, and I got kind of mad at them for that because that seems like terrible customer service for someone who's been doing $10,000 to $20,000 of shipping a year with you for 5 years. So I switched to PayPal because they don't have a monthly fee they charge on most of my shipping's packages, and on a few things like the prints we do that go as letters, I can get stamps. But it's a little inconvenient to not be able to print postage onto envelopes. So then I tried Pitney Bowes directly, but they don't print the right size envelopes, which is really silly. Um, so that wasn't worth it. So eventually I was like, you know what? I'll open another account with the same service. And to heck with it. And when I tried to do that, it threw all kinds of errors, even though I was using a different email address and everything, just to be safe. It threw all kinds of errors. It would not log in. It wouldn't take my passcode. Like, they give you a passcode to reset your password, like a passphrase, and it wouldn't take my password or my passphrase. And when I reported that to them, they told me I could call them and tell them my passphrase to unlock the account. And I was like, yeah, the email I just sent you said my passphrase wasn't working, guys. So I was like, look, just make sure it was a trial account. I was like, just make sure that they're all closed, because I'm not even going to mess. I'd spent like an hour on it. I wasn't going to call them and sit on the phone. I'd done that in the past. It's like, just make sure they're closed. So after a couple of more cut and paste emails, they said, yes, your account is closed. And I thought that was the end of it. And then I get another email. Actually, I got 3 emails back to back from both that service and their parent service. Now, this is the best one. And they apologized and told me that I was getting a free month of account, even though A, my account was closed, and B, I was already on a free trial that had 60 days free. So I double checked and my account was closed. And then I got another email that my account was closed. And then I got another email that they were refunding me $30, even though I never paid them anything on that account. So I was like, no, I'm not even going to respond to any of these. This is ridiculous. And I didn't get a refund of $30 that I could see, so I have no idea. But yeah, something's really wrong with their backend system, obviously. And I don't know if it's just with my physical address, because that's the only thing the same on the accounts, or they've just really screwed up. Because they used to be a super reliable service. And then they got purchased by stamps.com and they integrated both services and everything stopped working. Right. And the one reason I love that service is you could cut and paste an address as one block and say verify the address. And with the way I mail now, I have to put each line of the address in, like your name and then everything, like all separate, which I do really carefully. It just takes slightly more time to ship, but I have given up after that whole experience. I'm like, no, see, if you need to do package shipping, PayPal gets the same rates as those services that you pay for, but they don't charge you anything extra, so they're a better way to go. They have their own glitches occasionally where you can't print stuff without getting errors for a little bit, but I just leave printing the shipping labels for 2 hours and come back and it starts working again. So I don't know how they muck stuff up so bad with printing postage and stuff, but I just don't want to spend the time anymore. It's looking pretty good. I think he needs a little more blue. I'm kind of doing the blue so I can really make him stand out. And you'll see this won't blend quite as smoothly as if I was on cold press paper. So you'll get a little more of like an edge like I have up here, but I don't mind that for this. So hot press paper is a little bit better for details. I'm getting a little rippling here, but it'll flatten back out. So he is all set for white ink as soon as he dries. I know I don't know which is cuter. We have to vote. Is the crocodile-hamster cuter or the like baby flying deer creature? They're kind of like Pegasuses, but Pegasus are horses and these are deer. And they have like a full tail. I don't know. I think they're both pretty cute. I would totally keep one of these guys as a pet. I know somebody's gonna find him creepy though, who like hates reptiles or something. It's a little weird when you're doing like a reptile mammal crossover too, because they're so different. But you do have a lot of mammals that swim, like beavers and things. Whimsically cute and darkly cute. Okay, so they're just different forms of cute. So now I'm just making sure that the highlights in the eyes really pop. He's not going to need a lot of highlighting. So for this, I always use white ink. And I can actually... Where's the zoom? There we go. I say I can zoom him up a little more for this part. So you guys can really see. So yeah, the blue is still kind of wet around his face, so I'm trying not to rest my hand on any of the blue part that's still wet. It's a little tricky, but I just want to add a few highlights and fur tufts and things like that. And I got to paint his teeth white. So I'm using a very tiny brush. Like if you have colors that kind of get in areas where they're not supposed to get, you can also kind of correct them with white ink. I'm very thankful that through all this stuff our mail has kept running. At least that stuff has a stuff. Oh yeah, and they're mailing me a stimulus check even though they asked for all my bank account info on the website. That when I check the status, that apparently a stimulus check is being mailed to me today. So I don't know why they feel the need to physically mail me a check. They didn't like which bank I used, but I used Bank of America, which is a pretty common bank. So I don't know. I've given up trying to figure it out, but I'm definitely getting one. So that part's good. And I know all the funds from the Kickstarter are coming in today as well, and a lot of them have to go back out because we got to print coloring books. And this guy's going to be in the Pocket Hybrids coloring book. I'm actually laying the coloring books out this afternoon. The rest of the mini ones, I've got 2 of the 4 laid out. I think he'll be a good mini creature to color. Kind of want someone to color him in like pink or something. I think he'd be pretty awesome if he were like a. Every time I do one that does like more realistic colors like this, a part of me wants to do a version that just has like crazy Lisa Frank 80s neon colors. I've done a few creatures that have a lot of my flying cats, my winged tigers. I've done those with kind of more crazy colors because they have butterfly wings, so I can kind of get away with it. So I'm just adding a few highlights in here. I already signed it in pen, so that's already taken care of. Well, but not everybody got theirs mailed. My boyfriend's just showed up in his bank account. And when I checked, they said, we want to, we weren't able to transfer yours because we don't have your bank account info, which was a little silly because they totally did. It's just that I did a payment out of mine and then the refund into mine was state, and they don't share that information with federal. So they asked for all my info to do the transfer, which you fill all in on the website where you check your status for the IRS and all that. And they said, cool, we're good. We'll update this when your payment's going to be transferred. And then it updated to say they were sending me a check. So I think that they just did probably some sort of automated cutoff where if they didn't have that info in the first. But you watch, I'll get an automated transfer afterwards, even though it says it's mailing me a check. It'd be funny if I check my account and that's what happened. I mean, I'm going to digitally deposit it anyway, so it won't make any difference. I just think the whole thing is very silly. Well, and then I've had a few friends say that they're not getting them or that they don't know if they're getting them yet. But when I actually ask them why not, it's because they don't pay taxes, which means that you don't qualify for one usually. If you don't file taxes, or even funnier that they're on disability, and I'm like, but your disability payments didn't stop because of all this. You didn't lose a job or income because of it. Those are fine. So you're just expecting to get this amount of money extra because other people who have lost jobs or who have businesses like I do and have taken a really huge hit to our shows and our sales. Like that money won't even come close to what what I was expecting to make at Festival of Books was about 3 times that much. So we invested for that much. So it's nice that I managed to do enough of an online sale to break even on Festival of Books. And I put the booth money towards next year, but that money was supposed to pay our mortgage for a couple months. So that's definitely been a challenge. Obviously, it makes you worried because the kind of business I have, your income isn't as regular. It counts on sales and things like that. But Patreon's been amazing because that does give me a regular source of income and actually covers most of our mortgage payment now, which is good. Not all the insurance and stuff like that, but it helps. Then I've still got to do enough painting sales to cover, or Kickstarters to cover things like the power and water bill, which in the summer the power bill gets crazy here because of our AC. And we have a very efficient AC, so that was one of the reasons I ended up buying this house, is because it has a crazy high-end AC unit, which means it's very expensive to repair. But because I've kept my homeowner's warranty, the one repair I had on it, which would have been about $2,000, cost me $60. Thank God. Because yeah, we had a pump go on the AC unit the second year I was in this house, and it's such a high-end AC unit that pump is very expensive. But it also means the house cools off really fast, and we don't need to run it as much as I have had to on previous homes I've rented. So it still gets expensive, but it's not too bad. I think he's pretty close to done. I kind of wish I'd made him like eating a fish or something almost, because he looks like he could be holding something, but it's a little late now to add that, but it'd be pretty cool to do that. And sometimes I do full patterned backgrounds, but on these kind of ones that are just, this is on an 8x10, and I might cut it down a little bit because it's actually supposed to be a 7x9, but I might leave the extra space so if somebody getting it framed can have the space for it. So that only took, wow, 50 minutes. That's pretty good. Which picture should I paint? Choices. They're so different. I've done mermaids on the channel before, so I think maybe we'll play around with this. Oh, the deer? Yeah, I think so too. And like I said, these guys, Perytons, are actually pretty well known in mythology. And they're usually kind of more traditional. The one that I did for earth dragons and other forest creatures had brown fur and kind of brownish wings, but I really wanted to do something ridiculous and make this kind of a tropical parrot one, which I know there are no tropical parrot deer, but hey, I can stretch the boundaries here. So I'm trying to decide kind of if the body should be, most parrots it'd be like a blue green body. The fur might be brown, but I think I can kind of mix that a bit. So, and I mean I also know creatures don't usually have all these crazy swirly patterns. This is going to be a pretty small critter, I think. I mean it's got butterflies with it, but I don't think it's real big. So Drancel is saying, okay, about a dozen before pictures for the Discord. What do you mean before pictures for the Discord? Are you mixing up Discord and Patreon, maybe? Yeah, I should be on time with the Patreon mailing. That's one of the reasons I'm working on these guys now, so they can go out early in May. And I have that big goblin tea party picture I actually did start painting yesterday. I spent so long in the background for that. So yeah, I don't want to do it too pastel with this. I don't want it to look like a My Little Pony deer. um, so I'm using a green, but it's called peacock green, so it's pretty blue. Just to start with. Before paint and primer, what are you making? Oh, you're talking about miniatures? I forgot that you paint miniatures, so that probably is what you're talking about. Yeah, I'm lucky I don't have to use primers. I don't have to use sealers. I do use a spray sealer if I am doing colored pencil or if I am doing regular pencil for a finished piece, so it won't be erasable or smudge. But my watercolor that I use is pretty light fast, so it doesn't need a lot of those things. Yeah, I don't know. I find if I go too small or too big with my work, then I end up uh, putting a lot of time into details you either can't see or that take me forever. So I've kind of learned to kind of go somewhere in the middle. I'm gonna use like a more, I guess a greener green, a more yellow green. Get the wings started off with that, and then we'll blend them through a bunch of colors to do kind of a parrot effect here. So this is a case where I actually do want to have the paint colors bleed into each other a bit so they look more natural. So I'm going to do it while they're still wet. So I think we're going to go into a yellow next, which will kind of create a yellow-green while these overlap. Yeah, it doesn't look like that much now, but this will look cool once I actually start getting kind of all the colors in here. Yeah, I have a couple of friends who do like the kind of sculpting where you sculpt and then you cast everything and then your original sculpture gets destroyed and then you fill molds and you do it that way. And I think that's so cool, but I feel like I just don't have the patience for the level of time to get the end result. I love kind of the fact that I can just sit down and paint this. So, okay, then I think we're going to go into like a red here, which of course is going to come out orange where they overlap. So this looks like some bizarre Disney like Bambi creature. I wasn't really trying to channel Bambi, but I guess that's what I think of when there's little fawns. I was a little surprised to see there have been talks of doing a live action Bambi. I have many questions about how disturbing this would be since the animated one is pretty traumatic for children. I remember being pretty upset when I saw Bambi as a kid, so I'm kind of wondering where that's going, but I guess we'll see. So then I'm going to take this more into a purple, and then we'll go into blue for the very tips of the feathers. I'm using a pretty big brush right now because I'm not really doing a ton of detail at this point. I always kind of start out with the bigger areas. Ooh, your first venture, so you're not going to get super detailed. Yeah, a lot of people have touched me about maybe having figures 3D printed or doing some of my characters in 3D, and I actually do sculpt. I'm just not very fast at it. I've offered dragon eggs and things in the past on projects that I do paper sculpture for, so they're not too fragile to mail. But generally speaking, doing actual clay or any kind of ceramic thing or even 3D printed stuff gets expensive and it is much more difficult to mail. In fact, the only reason I offer mugs on my site is because the company that makes the mugs sends them out, and I don't have to worry about mailing a fragile thing or replacing it if it gets broken. They do, so that's a little bit better. But I have done like the wooden standees where they ship flat and then you slot them together and they stand up. And I've done those just with like a figure and a stand, but I can do them with multiple pieces so we could have a background and a foreground. They just gets more expensive the more pieces that we include. So I think if I was going to do it, I might have to do a project just for that. I guess we'll kind of see what happens there. So for this back part back here, I don't want the back wing to have quite as like bright color or be as detailed because it's going to kind of fade in a little because it is the back wing. So I'll throw some color on it, but I'm not going to end up doing a lot of detail on this because I want it to kind of fade into the background. So it's going to be just some very general lighter color. here just to make it match, because I do want to make sure that the front wing stands out from the back wing, so I'll probably have to shadow that one a bit. Oh, it's already pretty. Yes, I really wanted to paint a bizarre rainbow thing, and I put like wings on its ears too. I put like feathers in weird places on this guy. I was having way too much fun. Again, I blame the fact that I've been taking cold meds for the general weirdness of these creatures. I'm just building a little bit more blue in here to kind of create shadows. Yeah, I don't think this is going to have any brown on it. I think it's going to be tropical, so it's going to be way more colorful than that because it's just more fun. But it is going to have kind of some shadows, and I'm trying to decide if I want the belly to kind of be whiter or if I want to come in with, I think we might come in with some yellow for that too. Though parrots do sometimes have white. I might just do a very little bit of yellow in here. I'll do the same thing kind of around the eye here. I want to give it some color, but I don't want it to be too bright because... And both parrots and deer kind of have that, kind of have rings and patterns around the eyes, so I thought that would be kind of cool to have on this guy. I love experimenting with the idea of taking a creature that would definitely be more of like a woodland creature and putting it into a tropical setting and saying, well, what would this be like? I did that with the water leapers from Ireland. I did a traditional version of them in my water book, and then there's a tropical frog-inspired version, mostly because I love drawing the red, yellow, green tree frogs. I'm a big fan of that. Okay. So, just working on some of the colors for things like the ears here. Some of that's going to have to dry before I can put like reds near it. But look how pretty it is. This is a really cute one. And I know for a fact that I want at least some of the butterflies to be kind of bright blue. I might do some that are other colors as well. Or I might make them all blue. I guess we'll see. Yeah, I think you definitely need some more color kind of to unite kind of how the wings are all bright colors. He's going to need some more color kind of on the face here. If we're modeling him after things like tropical parrots. I'm pondering about the horns because they'd be kind of a pillar horn on a lot of creatures, but this guy we're not really doing a lot of whites, so I think I'm going to make them yellow and then add a little like red or orange to them. Why it keeps playing these ones that have a little too much MIDI sound for me in them. But it should learn what I like eventually. We hope. Hopefully you guys are all having a good day. I was so annoyed because I was like, streaming was going so well, and then I had like 5 or 6 days where I just could not stream. But I'm back. I'm doing much better now. But I have a feeling I'm probably still going to need a nap this afternoon because I definitely am not running on full energy yet. I do like doing these ones on stream because it's pretty fast because they're already in ink. But I'm going to try to do a drawing and inking demo for some of the clockwork critters I'm going to be doing. That clockwork sea monster should be really fun. So I think we'll try to do like a very classic. I don't know if it's going to be more dragony or if I want to do it. I think I want to do like more of like a kraken. I mean, I've done a clockwork kraken before, but I think I want to play somewhere between those things. And if it is kind of more dragony, it's still going to have like tentacles in some way because it should be really fun to do that. So I will play around with ideas and we'll see what happens. And we'll probably do a full stream for just like designing and inking it, and then one for adding color. Yeah, right now I'm just kind of working on making sure my colors all blend together well here for the different areas. Like, this is such a pretty little critter. Yeah, I tried to make my colors look too separate. I don't want that ring around the eye to be too separate. And I think I'm debating eye color, but I think what I'm going to do is start it off with some blue, and then I might add some purple. We'll see. A little dark, but there we go. I think it looks good with blue. But I think he needs some purple in a few more places, so try to work some more weird colors into the fur here. That's better. Oh, that was fighting the nap urge. Yeah, I often, especially as it gets hotter out, it's pretty normal to take naps. I usually take one around like 2 in the afternoon if I'm tired. But I've been taking like twice as many with this cold because I'll do like 3 or 4 hours of work like today probably, and then I mean I started working at 7, so it's almost was like 11:30 now. So I did pretty good. Considering I wasn't able to do nearly as much yesterday, that's a lot better. But yeah, I think some form of lunch and a nap might be in order pretty soon. I mean, I think if you're trying to get stuff done and you're fighting like sleepiness, then you don't get as much done anyway because you're slower. So at some point in there, it's better to just go take even like a half-hour nap. um, but then I feel like if I take one too close to bedtime or too close to the end of the day or anything, then I don't get a full night's sleep because I already had too much sleep. Like it messes me up, so I have to be careful what time of day. But yeah, I can tell I'm not at 100% because I'm already getting tired, and I'm like, come on, I only did one drawing and 2 paintings. I should be okay to do more. But gotta listen to my body, so I try to get more done on this guy. I think it'd be really cool if he has, this gonna sound silly, but it sounds like a mythological thing, golden hooves. I think that'd be pretty neat. Like if I'm gonna go into the full rainbow spectrum for this creature, and I wanted to do that because the other one of these that I've done is kind of more of like based on an adult stag. It's not nearly as cute in it. And it's very serious colors. It's all browns, so I kind of like doing this guy with a little more of a wacky color palette. And I know Daniel wants to maybe stream XCOM this afternoon, and then I might try to stream Path of Exile at some point. I probably have to wear a headset for that. My headset's a little heavy. It's the only thing I don't love about it. Like I have a full pair of headphones, but it's not as bad if I'm playing a video game because I'm not bending over stuff. Like for this, I'm not using one because my camera, which is right in front of me, has a mic, which I suppose I could try to use for streaming games. I don't know if that'd be better. I think it'd probably be better if I use a headset. I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. I thought it would be really cool to give this guy, it's a little dark, to give this guy like ankle wings, kind of like some of the Greek deities have in pictures. I don't know. I thought that would be neat. I know they're very silly. I don't know what purpose any of these things would serve, but I'll come up with something when I'm writing about it, so it makes sense. Hello. Yeah, we had a bunch of people. I feel like I do best if I stream kind of 10 or 11 in the morning. I get more of you guys in. I haven't done very many later night evening streams, but I feel like maybe the evening is better for gaming streams versus like art streams. Partly because like this way I don't have to use my light. I'm able to use just like natural lighting if I do it this time of day. And my other project for this weekend is to draw on a whole bunch more books, but I'm actually pretty caught up on shipping where I'm supposed to be at. I wanted to be ahead, but at least I budgeted time, so I'm actually just on time instead of behind with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. I have to draw in about another 50 books that have to go out in May and June. I think I have about 40 to go out in May and 10 to go out in June, but I'll probably just get them all out together. I think that makes the most sense. But I'm through the ones where I've got to ship 2 books. So I just have to draw on a lot of books for Kickstarter backers. And we are about to Hermes turned deer Pegasus. Well, it's actually they're called Perytons, the flying deer bird hybrids. They're just not as well known in mythology as the Pegasus for whatever reason, but they actually already are in mythology. I've just never seen a tropical one. Not real sure they're a tropical deer, but I mean, you've got deer-like species, so we'll just go with it. And yeah, I think I'm going to make the butterflies a couple of different colors up here. I think that'll be neat. So since that one's blue, this one will be pink. And I think this one will be yellow. And actually, there was this huge debate when I was working on these guys for Earth Dragons. I did a lot of research as to if they have 4 deer legs, like I gave them here, or 2 deer legs and 2 bird legs, or just 2 bird legs, because they've been drawn all those different ways and described all those different ways in different mythological versions. So I think for the one I did before, I gave it 2 deer legs in the front and 2 bird legs in the back. But for this guy, he's just got bird legs. But then he's got feathers on his legs, so I feel like it's kind of a good mix. I mostly like these guys because they give me an excuse to do like crazy tails, like all the crazy tail feathers that I want here. I think they're really fun. A little too much of a line right there, but a little water will fix that. There we go. Add a little more yellow here. And the nice thing is if it's too yellow, I can just blend some green across it and really kind of play around with some of our different colors here. I don't want this to be too matchy with the top part, but this is kind of a longer area of feathers, so I can work some more colors into this part. That'll be cool. And yes, I realize this is a completely ridiculous tail even for a parrot, but part of the fun of designing creatures is you get to exaggerate things. It's still good to base them on real things, though. I've looked at a ton of parrots and parrot wings for a lot of my flying dragons, which makes this a little bit easier to do. Since we've got extra space, I'm going to put a little more pink in down here. This guy might end up being a sticker. I don't know if it's going to include all the butterflies. I might just have the one. Or he might end up on a shirt, because I think he's a nice kind of alternative magical creature to something like a unicorn. And I'm actually looking at what like staghorns look like when they just start to grow, and what baby deer or fawns look like for this guy, because I kind of wanted it to be like a cuter, slimmer little critter versus traditionally they're full stags with huge racks of antlers, and I thought this would be a fun variation. You can probably tell I'm still a little stuffy. Like I've been taking decongestants, but I can still kind of hear it in my voice and my sniffling. But I'm still kind of stuffy. I want some more blue kind of in these parts, but sometimes it goes a little dark if you're not careful, and easy enough to correct. It's because I refilled these paints yesterday, so some of them have a lot more paint in them than I'm used to. And I am actually going to do something kind of behind him for a background as well. But it's not going to be just a blended one like I did on the other one. Thank you guys for all tuning in. I'm all happy to see 5 or 6 people. My average for a long time has been like 3 people watching or less. So if we can get that up, that's awesome. But if I want to get to the next level of stuff I can offer in subscriptions and whatever, we have to get like an average of 75 people, which I don't think is happening anytime soon. I'm kind of just amazed that I hit the first level so I could take subscriptions and things. That's been pretty awesome. Okay. Hopefully he's dry enough that I can work on a background. I'm trying to decide exactly how I want to do this. I think I want to do an off-center. You'll see me rotate the paper because it's a lot easier to not rest on the wet paint and get the right angle here. And you'll see me rest my hand when I'm doing things like this because it's much more steadying if you're trying to do curves and circles and shapes. So I'm going to do some of these you guys have seen me do before. Swirlies, because swirlies are fun. And I'm kind of hoping that I can encourage more people to try watercolor to see it's a little more accessible. And if you're worried about details on things, you can do them in ink first like I did here. And then you're basically making yourself a coloring book. And I find watercolor for me is kind of spoiled me. I used to use colored pencil and marker, and now it seems so slow to me because you can't get these blends nearly as easily with marker or colored pencil. You have to work for it a lot more. There's a lot. Colored pencil is much more time consuming. I still do it occasionally. And I might do a colored pencil demo at some point if that's something you guys would like to see. And I mean the same sort of color theory of how to use colors and how they look next to each other and how they look kind of on top of each other if you're using transparent medium. That applies to colored pencil, it applies to watercolor and to marker, because colored pencil you can layer colors to get different effects if you have good colored pencils. But I find that colored pencil and marker are also much more expensive. It's one of the reasons I kind of switched more to watercolor. Though I have been meaning to get some, apparently there's some more affordable gouache sets now that it's a little more of a of a medium more folks are using, which is basically like watercolor but not transparent, and I would love to do that. Oh, thank you. It is pretty stinking cute. It's like a magical Studio Ghibli Last Unicorn sort of mix going on here, which I've been watching a lot of anime like that, and I did rewatch Last Unicorn, so that might be what's affecting this. So this is a cool way to do, I think, to kind of like, so you don't just have white paper, or like the one that we just did, this guy, I just did a shadow around him. My cameras are not updating on my, oh, that's nice. My camera just cut out. What are you doing, camera? Never had to do that before. All right. What on earth? Hello. Oh, that's fun. I don't know if we just broke the computer or what. Come on. Wonder if it's the music that's causing the issue. Come on, wake back up. Oh dear. Alright, give me a sec, guys. I'll see if I can figure out what's going on here. Because, yeah, my computer is suddenly being incredibly slow. I don't know what that was about. That was really strange. That was really, really weird. Come on. See if I can get Windows to stop being bratty. I don't know what happened. Okay, there we go. You waking back up now? What the heck, computer? Yeah, I'm trying to get it to figure out what's wrong here. I think this is just Windows getting angry at me. But I did also tell this to stream at higher res, so maybe that's the issue? Yeah, the computer wants to take a nap too. What the heck? Okay, is it alive now? I have no idea. That was really weird. Okay. Are you alive now, computer? Okay, it's at least responding to things now. That was really strange. Yay, okay. Are you guys able to see stuff okay now? And hear me okay now? I don't know. I wonder if something's like running out of memory or having other issues. I wonder if it's like my actual camera here. Let's see. Figure out if it was the web browser playing music or the camera, because I was like fine there for what, like an hour and 20 minutes. Okay, hold on. I'm not okay. Well, I'll deal with that in a second. Yeah, I think something's crashing here, and I don't know which thing is. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, well that disconnected itself. There we go. That's reconnected now. Let me see if I can. I did try to tell this to use a higher um, HD stream, and I usually don't do it at full HD, so maybe that's the issue. And maybe my camera software is just upset about it. I feel like my camera software for my drawing camera is just dying on me, and I don't know why. Yeah. 11. What on earth? It has opened like 11 subtasks. Yeah. That's when you end task your camera software. I have never had it do that before. Yeah, I know a video of me is okay now. I'm trying to get it to end task my art camera so I can, because I don't know what it's doing now. It's being really strange. Come on. Yeah, it keeps opening these like web helper apps. in the background, and it seems to be eating up all of my memory, which is probably what happened to Windows. So if I could kill it and restart it, yay! Come on. I've never had to do this. Okay. Is it dead? That's better. All right, let's see if this works now. Sorry about that, guys. It was like it literally like just killed the memory on my computer, which is something that happens if you use Windows. It happens on Mac too. I think it takes longer on Mac. Let's see if my camera software will restart here. I was really careful. I didn't have a lot of other crap running either, so I don't know why it did that. It's either going to restart or not. Come on. Hey! There we go. That's better. Sorry about that. I have no idea what caused that. Yeah, it's still being weird aspect ratio wise. I have no idea why. Okay, now it's just stretching itself out. I guess it's loading. There we go. Are you done loading now? Okay. I don't know if it's because I've switched it to full HD, but it was working fine there for a while. Okay, and it seems fine now. What the heck was that? That was just Windows having apparently didn't like me. All right. The question is Twitch Studio still streaming okay? Because I'm not seeing a. Okay, it is counting up. There we go. Just double checking that it's actually streaming okay. Which is why I have multiple computers here. Okay, good. Well, that was just silly. And I'm wondering if it's because I set this for full HD. When usually it is set for 720. So we'll see if it'll let me change it. Okay, it will. Well, that did something. Okay, there we go. Let's see if yeah, Windows had a total stroke. Well, that Windows has just historically always done that. I feel like the better our we're good. We're back. Everybody good now? I feel like the better the computers get, the more Windows just keeps stacking stuff on top of stuff, so it will just break and be just as slow as it was 20 years ago with Windows 3. Oh, Windows. Sorry, guys. That's the first time that's happened in a stream. Apparently, my computer got sick too. All right, it's fine now. I think it's because I told it to try streaming in full HD because I didn't realize it wasn't set for that it was set for 720, which is still good. And maybe that just my computer couldn't handle it. I don't know. Sorry about that. Hey, it's working now. And of course, it's gonna happen when I'm like almost done too, because why do it at any other time? I don't know that I want to put these swirls in the whole background or just kind of, probably just kind of around the top here. I think I'm going to go ahead and, yeah, I don't know why my artist cam is lagging now because it's being stupid. Let's see. Any less laggy now? I think. I mean, that's over Wi-Fi, which shouldn't have an issue, but who knows? I have no idea. My computer probably needs a full reboot after this, and maybe Windows has an update pending because sometimes it gets really flaky when that's going on. Yeah, I tried to get the artist cam to work over USB, and it works over USB for my new cell phone, but for some reason the old one, it connects and then it disconnects. So since it's easier for me to use the old one because I can leave it set up all the time, I opted to just do it over Wi-Fi, which usually works fine. So I do not know. Sorry about that, guys. Doesn't matter how much you know about computers, they can still have technical difficulties and mess with you. I think I just used too many rainbow colors and it just, my computer spazzed out. It was like, I can't take the cuteness. I can't take the precious rainbow colored deer. I give up. I surrender. There we go. So I could have done this sort of swirl that I'm doing more centered on the creature and the paper, but I thought it would be cool to kind of center it around the face of the creature because it creates a little more of a focal point, and around the butterflies. And when I first saw other artists doing any sorts of kind of lines or details in their background, I kept thinking, there's a trick. They're doing something that's a guide for that, and there really isn't. You just have to learn how to plant your hand and use a small brush so you have a very steady hand, um, and have a lot of patience for painting these sorts of details. I kind of want this to look like almost like wind or breeze or magical swirls coming from the creature itself. Now, sometimes I want to do the really serious, realistic colored creatures, and I feel like the first creature we did in this stream, we did really more realistic colors, and then this one is a little more of the magical Wonderland type crazy colored creature. Sometimes I sketch out and plan these swirly things ahead of time. Sometimes I just go nuts like I am now and freehand them. But I had a pretty good idea where I kind of wanted the swirls to go, if that makes sense. So yeah, apparently Windows hates me and just was like, I'm gonna die on you. It's probably because I was using Photoshop and InDesign earlier. And I feel like even when you close stuff, I mean, I close stuff, I check the memory on the computer to make sure it is indeed closed because it'll just leave junk open in the background of Windows. But for some reason, my camera had like a dozen little Logitech web helper apps open, like sub processes, and I'm like, that seems like a lot. So I untasked that, and that seemed to solve the issue. That looks pretty cool. Trying to decide if he needs any swirls back here. If I do them, they're going to be not as detailed. We'll just put a few lines in. I want to balance it, so I don't want to just have that color there. We'll say these are wind currents, magical wind currents around the adorable rainbow flying tropical Peryton. I love finding like I love doing the really traditional like a Pegasus. I love unicorns and gorgons. Obviously, are some of my favorites. I'm doing a ton of gorgons recently, but I also love kind of venturing into some of the more forgotten creatures, the ones that just don't get as much attention, because they're pretty cool too. And I think it's fun to do kind of variations on those ideas. So yeah, if you do enough of these, you can kind of eyeball where your swirls should go. By being off center here, I'm not doing perfect circles. I'm not worried about those things, so it's not as difficult. I have a speck on my paper. I think it's a speck of green. Now, the marvelous thing about watercolor is a little bit of water, a little bit of scrubbing, and I can at least mostly scrub it out. I must have splattered my green there at some point. But since I'm painting swirls, it won't matter. I think the swirls are gonna kind of continue down here to the feet. So I don't know. I'm wondering if it's better for me to stream afternoons or mornings. I don't know what you guys like, but I seem to get a lot more people when we do like around 11 in the morning. Only problem is when Daniel has work that kind of is right around his lunch break. So I can also try doing afternoons, but right now he doesn't have work since we were told to stay home sick for a bit. So, of course, I live at work, so that doesn't really matter for me. Um, he's been awesome. He's getting us a few things for the household, and I'm getting us a few things. I realized I haven't had a new bath mat in I don't know how long, and while mine are washable, they're getting really old, and I didn't pick them out in the first place. They were a gift. I honestly think they are hideously ugly. They look like a green shaggy monster died, and then we skinned it and used it for a bath mat. And then when we were keeping the kitten in the bathroom last year, she attacked them a lot. I mean, they're still okay, um, but they're honestly like I don't know, 10 years old minimum. So I decided to replace our bath mat. And then we wear our front door mats out pretty fast, so he's being awesome in replacing that one. And then he's also getting us a sugar dispenser because for some reason we do not have one. I don't use sugar in that much stuff though, so it's never an issue for me. He likes sugar in his tea sometimes, so and obviously if we have company over, they like sugar in their tea sometimes. So depending on the tea, it does sometimes need sugar, I guess. We tend to use slightly sweet creamer in our coffee, so we don't use sugar in our coffee at home that much. So I'm just continuing my wind currents. Yeah, I can do evenings. I don't mind using like artificial light since I have a good light here, but I think no, not a speck. Go away, speck. I think I end up hitting a lot of people who do like game streaming and music streaming, the DJing in the evenings. So I try to like avoid that, and I think kind of I don't know that once things reopen, then I feel like people are going to be at work. So I don't know what time art streaming is the best. I've kind of been experimenting. Oliver, and I don't think I need to do too much with the shadows for the wings. I actually think that the colors on the wings look great because I did so much detail and even some shading in ink. I don't think it needs too much there. Yeah, I'm noticing the closer we get to noon, the more people we get watching. So maybe I should be streaming more like noon to 2 or something like that. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe we'll vary it up a little bit. And I don't think I'm going to get to my third painting today because I think my energy is going to run out since I'm still sick. But yeah, sorry about that thing with the cameras, guys. I don't know. My computer just decided to throw a hissy fit at me. I think it went to magical overload from this painting. That's the theory I'm going to go with. Because it's the most entertaining one. I think it might have also been the web browser being open to stream music. So what I can do for music is I can play the music from my other computer and then it won't eat up stuff on this one. Though I'm not sure how much we really need the music. I mean, I get to hear birdsong and stuff sitting here anyway, so I don't know if it's more interesting to you guys with music or not, but I will figure something out if I need to. And yeah, I have another computer here that's my older Mac that can easily play music. And then yeah, our bandwidth is fine though because I'm on Ethernet for this computer so that it doesn't have to use Wi-Fi for that. So here we go. He's getting close. I think trying to make sure I balance out my swirls at the top by at least suggesting swirls down here. But again, I don't feel like I need to do like the full loop-de-loop of the swirls, though I guess that would also be pretty cool if I did that right here. I think that would look I say I don't need to do it, and then I'm like, wait, I should do it right here because it'll look neat, and it'll balance out the ones at the top. Oh, look awesome! I'm glad I streamed at a good time of day for you, Dragon Soul. Um, I mean, it's weird with people being in so many different time zones, and then also with people working from home now or working in different times than they would necessarily work. I think that's one of the reasons we got sick because When Daniel moved to the forklifts at work, he's happier because he's in the back. He doesn't have to deal with people, which right now is great, and honestly is probably great for him all the time. But it totally changed our schedule because he usually works 11 or noon till 9 in the evening. And then this changed it to him working at 7 or 8 in the morning, which is just like a change. And I don't mind a change, but my body for some reason takes a while to adjust to kind of, we still get up at the same time. I kind of had to rush around a little more. And I don't know, I'm bad at adjusting my sleeping hours and things. So that looks pretty good. I zoomed it out so you guys could see the full thing. And then I think I need to at least have a tiny bit up here, just so it's not like, why is there a big white area there where the wind doesn't show up. So this is kind of my quick way to kind of do a neat mystical background. I love doing them like this versus just painting them in a solid color or adding a shadow. I do some of mine more as a shadow, but if you want to make a creature look like it's flying or swimming, this is a neat way to kind of do that and have some fun with it. There's not really a right or wrong way to do it. It's getting pretty close. I think he needs some purple mystical sparkles as well, just because I'm weird. So I'm going to just, now that this part's dry, I'm just going to add in some dots of purple. I might bring some blue in a little bit, because who doesn't need mystical sparkles? Just got to be careful of where it's still wet. I'm going to keep those probably more kind of around the top here where the face is, versus doing the whole thing with them, but it's pretty cool looking. So then the last thing I do, as you guys know from watching me paint a bunch, is we get some white ink. And I don't think this guy's going to need too much in white ink. So hey, I'm going to hit my 2 paintings in 2 hours goal, which is pretty good. I probably spent way more than 2 hours when you take into the fact that I had to draw them all out and ink them, but I probably spend an hour to an hour and a half when I'm designing a creature and doing it in ink, depending on how detailed it is. Like creatures like this where there's wings obviously takes longer because I've got to draw out like all the feathers and stuff like that. So I'm just going to add little tufts of fur in here and some little highlights in places. Definitely need some on the butterflies. It's better. So this is where I'm just doing tiny little tweaks to really pop the creature out, bring it to life. I'll usually make sure the highlights in the eyes stand out really well. Deer are weird because they kind of have big starry eyes, very wide eyes compared to some of the other critters that I draw, so I didn't want this one to look too wide-eyed. I gave it a little bit of an eyelid showing just because I didn't want it to look like a crazy wide-eyed monster or anything. So I probably have only about 5 minutes left on this guy, just finishing up his details. So if anyone has last questions, thank you guys for hanging in there while I was having computer difficulties and fun stuff like that. I know all the streaming I've done over, I think we've been a full month of me streaming on Twitch now. That's the first time we've had a technical hiccup, which I think is pretty good considering. Here we go. This is a good way to kind of suggest some highlights and suggest kind of the fur more. Especially if you want more of like a white belly or anything like that. That's a good way to do it. I try to leave some white, but for some areas it's much easier to just kind of touch in some highlights. I'm going to highlight the wings a little bit here as well, just because it'll kind of pop it out a little more. When you're using this much color, though, and you've got so much done in the black ink, it really doesn't take that much to bring it to life. See, I think I'd stick more to morning or afternoon if I'm streaming art, and then if I start streaming any games, it would be more evening. And the games would be things like Path of Exile. I guess I could stream like Monkey Island as well. I re-got those recently. I think last holiday sale they were having maybe like the Black Friday sale or something. There were some remastered ones. With my fan of puns, I am a big fan of Monkey Island and King's Quest. Ooh, although my favorite kind of point and click adventure game is something called Night of the Rabbit, which might be really fun to do a playthrough on if you guys haven't seen that one. Kind of like if you're used to like Peter Rabbit and Beatrix Potter and Narnia, like all the talking animals, but way creepier as you get farther into it. Like the story actually gets pretty dark and pretty epic, even though you're playing a little kid. Play a little kid who gets shrunken down in that to help the critters. Yay, it's coming to life. I always feel like my pictures don't really come to life till like the very last like 5 or 10 minutes. I'm working on them, adding all the highlights and things like that. Like I said, I could shadow the feathers a lot more. I don't know that I really need to because again, there's so much done in the ink, and I'm adding highlights that I don't really know that they need like tons of shading on them with the watercolor as well. I put a tiny bit. So if you guys are new to the stream, I guess it's good to cover at the end of the stream, right? If you're new to watching me stream, my name is Jessica Feinberg. I am an illustrator and an author and a small business owner, and I am in Tucson, Arizona. I'm originally from the East Coast, but then I ended up here through a series of bizarre journeys and random life events, but I'm very happy here. And I mainly paint and write about bizarre creatures and wildlife and kind of find ways to have them exist in our modern world and go unnoticed. And I write a lot of field guides about them, what they eat and where they sleep, and what sort of eggs they hatch from and how rare they are and things like that. And I have a whole series of books just on that, and then I have coloring books and a book of fairy tales and a bunch of other stuff, a couple of how to draw books. I have a book called Summoning Creatures if you are looking to learn how to draw critters like this. And you can find all that stuff on my website. It's really easy to remember. It's raredragons.com, which is always listed on my Twitch along with all of my other stuff, Facebook, and all that stuff. And I sell my work on my website. I also do a monthly Patreon. These pictures I've been working on today are going to go to Patreon subscribers. And every little bit helps, even $1 a month makes a huge difference. So if you can subscribe there or subscribe on Twitch, that's a huge help. Or you can follow me for free on Twitch and just get notified of when I am going to be streaming, which is usually every day or two, unless I get really sick, like I have for the past 4 or 5 days. But I am on the road to recovery, and I'm planning to do a lot more streaming. So I kind of rotate off. My boyfriend streams games on his account, and then a ton of my friends, some of whom are in the chat here, you guys all stream, which is really cool, I think, right now, especially because everyone's kind of been a little stir crazy and stuck at home, so we provide a bunch of different kinds of entertainment. I think that's a really cool thing. And I'm just doing some final tweaks here. I want to make the back wings stand out a little bit from the front wings here. I think that's important. There we go. It's pretty good. I'm adding a little bit of shadow in places. but not too much. But I think that's going to be about it. So, um, you have to just look into what's recorded for streaming and how you are filming stuff. I think the camera I used was about $50. They're really expensive right now because everybody's sold out of stuff. Um, and this was about $50 a couple of years ago, and it's still the one recommended if you're going to stream art. And if you're streaming gaming, that's just a feed from your computer. But yeah, I think it depends mainly on your internet connection. And if your computer can support playing a game, then it can usually support streaming a game as long as your internet connection also does. Uh, I actually have a gaming computer because that works the best for digital painting and art processing as well, because they both need a lot of processor power. So I upgraded to this one about, I don't know, 2 years ago, a year and a half. I think it's coming up on 2 years. It's been a bit. Might only be a year ago. I don't know. I have lost all sense of time. It's terrible. I'm just adding a few last little details in here, and I think I'll be done. I didn't think anybody was going to want to watch me stream. I don't think I'm the most fascinating person when I'm rambling and painting, but apparently I am for some people. So that's awesome. Because I'm usually at work doing this a lot of days, so getting to share it with folks is really cool. Hopefully inspire some other people to paint and all that. But yeah, I think my cold is still not entirely gone, and I'm running out of steam here, and I think this guy's pretty done. So we did that guy, and we did this guy here, the crocodile hamster. So those are our two pieces for today. So yeah, if you guys have questions, you can ask them here. You can hit me up on my Discord. You can email me. You can go to my website. Any of those things, I love to hear from people. And I think that's going to be about it for today. Stay safe, wash your hands, stay well. Do not get the cold that I have, though it's almost gone now. And I should be back tomorrow. I'm hoping we can get to painting this lovely eel gorgon. And maybe a few other things. So hopefully tomorrow or the day after, we'll be back and doing that. And thank you guys so much for tuning in.